Welcome to episode 3 of my standard banner only series. In this video I make a lot of progress on the account and get my 4th 5-star. It's no secret that the limited time 5-star characters in Honkai Star Rail are the strongest. Even more than that, the newer ones are stronger than the ones from prior patches. Having just a few of any of these limited time 5-star characters can be account changing and allow a player to beat content they couldn't before. I dare to challenge this by only pulling on the standard banner. Of course, every 4-star character is on the standard banner, but the 5-stars are finite and never changing. There are 3 forms of endgame and I will beat them all. For this episode, I wrote down some goals. My first goal is to either get a Pela, Tingyun, Gallagher, or Lynx. All of these characters I really want for the account and they will be very useful, and hopefully I get them all, because when I have all of them, it'll be amazing. My second goal is to hit Trailblazer level 40. You see, this unlocks me 5-star relics, and I can get Tracks of Destiny from the monthly shop. I also need to do this soon because there's the weekly reset, and the simulated universe and weekly bosses are going to reset at that time. TL40 does give me the Equilibrium level 3, so I really do need to hit this soon. My third goal is to get a 5-star. It wouldn't be a good episode without a 5-star, so I gotta do that. And my fourth goal is to complete the Xianzhou Luofu story. I haven't even started it yet, but I plan to complete it all. My final goal is to make some progress on the Forgotten Hall, which leads up to me unlocking the Memory of Chaos. Last episode ended off with my luck getting a little bit better by pulling a Welt. He is going to be very useful and will be my main DPS for many fights. Between last episode and this one, I did some off-camera mining and got to Trailblazer level 30, which allows me to ascend my Equilibrium level once again. Like the last test, I have to fight 2 different boss enemies in order to win. The first one has no weaknesses of any of my character's types, but I'm able to brute force it. It was a pretty easy fight, and if I could auto-battle, I'm confident I would have won too. The next boss is weak to Imaginary and Fire, which makes my Aston Welt able to deal some weakness damage. Funny enough, they both have a multi-hit bounce skill, so they weakness break the boss very fast. I easily beat this boss too and ascend to Equilibrium level 2. I also get another technique point slot, which puts me at the max of 5. I have a quest to do a Stagnant Shadow, so I do the one that drops materials for Bailu and Serval. It happened to be in the same area where the Ascension quest was, so it was pretty convenient. It was a pretty tough fight though, with a few characters getting low a few times, but I managed to win. Next I go destroy 3 objects to complete my dailies. I also claim some of the Battle Pass, which gives me a free warp. Back to Pom Pom to claim my level rewards for levels 26 to 30. 30 gave me a physical Trailblazer Eidolon and another warp. To celebrate, I do a 10 pull, and oh my god, it's a 5-star. You're joking. I was not ready for this again. Dude, this is like the 10 pull after Welt. What the heck? What the heck? What the heck? Holy shit. It's probably going to be a light cone. But, oh my god. Oh my god. Here it is. No. Here it is now. I think this is the last one. No? This is the last one. Harmony? Oh my god. Dude! I was like, no freaking way I got a Bronya. No way I got a Bronya. But it's her light cone. Yeah, I got Bronya's light cone, which is pretty nice. I know that I can't always get characters, and some of my 5-stars will be light cones, but a Bronya would have been insane. I only have one Harmony character right now, and that's Asta, so I put it on her. This light cone gives a very nice 10% energy regeneration, regenerates 1 skill point every other time the user ults, and 30% more damage to the next acting ally after the user uses their skill. This last part is nice, but it is very dependent on the speed tuning, as Asta doesn't have an action advance to a teammate, like Bronya does, so it is guaranteed to work on the teammate, like the DPS you're trying to get to do damage, right? I do another 10 pull after that, and I get a Zhuyi, another Eidolon closer to E6, which would make me consider building her fully. I leveled up the light cone to 40. I have no qualms about leveling it up, as I'm going to use it forever because it's, well, a 5-star light cone. It's not like the materials are going to waste on a light cone that I'll only be using in the early game, and then it's gone in the late game. Next I decided to do the Stagnant Shadow Welt need so I can level him up. I ascend him at 40 and claim the warp. But I don't level him at all. Now this episode happened between 2 weeklies, so this first weekly I'm not trying to rush Trailblazer level 40 because I'm so far away, but the next one I am. So because weeklies are about to reset this time, I go challenge the Doomsday Beast. Unfortunately I lose. I just went to a new Equilibrium level and my characters aren't leveled, so it's going to be a little bit difficult. I bring Bailu's light cone to 50, Welt's to 40, Welt to level 48, and Serval to level 48. I don't know when I ascended her, but I guess I must have. I also changed some relics around, but nothing that noteworthy. Trying to go back to the Doomsday Beast fight, I get stuck in the beginning of Ron May's story quest. I spam skip through all her dialogue as fast as I can, but it feels like an eternity. Finally, I get the freedom to walk around. Ron May wants me to follow her, but I have other plans, so I just dip on her. I use some HP and attack boosting food before entering the battle this time, just to make sure. The fight is still very rough and I have to use Bailu Revive, but I complete it. With my newly acquired weekly materials, I get Welch Trace that lets his ult debuff enemies for 2 turns, making them take more damage. I do another run of the Doomsday Beast and one of Cocolia, then I claim my level 31 rewards. Next up is the Simulated Universe. World 3 Difficulty 1 gives 2 warps and 120 jades, so I attempt it. I decide to do the hunt path in the hopes that I'm able to kill enemies before they can hurt me. The final boss is Japard, who is weak to Imaginary and Electro, so it isn't a super bad fight. In fact, it was pretty easy. I had really good blessings with all 3 of the 3-star hunt blessings. After that, it's time for a 10-pull. I get a double 4-star with an Arlon Eidolon, who I will never use, and a Preservation Light Cone, Landau's Choice. This may be useful in the future if I want to use Japard and I don't have his Light Cone. In the Simulated Universe ability tree, I unlock the Resonance Formation, which gives certain buffs to the path of resonance, which will be very useful. Next, I attempt World 4 Difficulty 1. I meet Ix, the Nihility here, so now I have the Nihility blessings available. Nihility has some really nice general blessings like the Weakness Break efficiency buff, so I'm happy to have unlocked it. The final boss is Farag, which is very good for me as he is weak to lightning and fire, which I have a lot of. I did have to use Bailu Revive, but I was never worried about losing. Completing this gave me another free hurdle, which brings me to E5 on her. I also have the option to unlock the Divergent Universe, but I'm going to wait on that. I finally unlocked the Forgotten Hall, which allows me to get closer to the Memory of Chaos, one of the endgame modes I plan to beat. My characters are over-leveled, so I destroy stage 1. There are only one-time claim rewards, but the rewards for completing these stages are juicy. I speed through stages 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7 too. Stage 8 looks a little bit difficult, so I level up a few relics, and luckily, the bosses here are weak to Electro, so I can at least break the enemies. And it wasn't too bad, I was able to complete it. As for stage 9, I look at it and I know I can't do it. The enemies are way higher level than my characters and the weaknesses don't match. Later I actually attempted to do it a few times, but I failed, taking one cycle too long both times. It is something I need to get stronger to do. Because I failed, I just deleted the recordings of it, so I can't even show you that. Claiming the rewards for completing stages 1 through 8 gives me 1,600 jades, which is just enough for a 10-pull. I decide to do one and I get a secret vow, a 4-star Destruction Light Cone. It is one of the better Destruction Light Cones that isn't a 5-star, but I have no plans on using 2 Destruction characters, so the 5-star Hurdle one will suffice if I decide to build a Destruction character. I also claimed some of the Operation Briefing rewards from the Interastral Peace Guide. I spent the next hour doing the Stellar Shimmer limited time event. I was worried that I'd have trouble doing the challenges because of how weak my account is, but everything is scaled down and the trial characters carry. I actually had more trouble doing this on my main account than I did on this one, as I had to redo 2 of the battles to get the full rewards. Doing it gave me a few hundred jades, which I honestly expected more. I thought I was going to get more out of it, but I didn't. I have 11 Star Rail passes, so I do a single pull which gives me nothing and a 10 pull that gives me a Lynx, which is amazing. I wasn't recording my voice because I didn't see a 5-star, but you can tell that I was happy by the shaking of my mouse. I was looking for a Lynx or Gallagher for Cleanse Sustain, and now I have one. Cleanses don't really matter in the beginning, but they do become important, so I will need them. You'll see in this video times where a cleanse would be extremely useful. I'm going to hold off on building Lynx though for now, as she isn't needed yet. That does check off one of my goals for this video though. Getting a Tingyun, Pela, or Gallagher would also be nice. And truthfully, it was all up to RNG, so it's not like it's something I could achieve through just dedication. Next on the chopping block, I do Argenti's story quest. I spam skip through all the dialogue, and it only took me 24 minutes, which honestly I'm happy about. I didn't want this to be a long quest. I didn't know what to expect as I haven't done his story quest on my main account. The boss fight at the end with Argenti did have me worried. I was barely hanging on at times. Bailu's revive did come in clutch, and her healing was the only reason I was able to beat him. I do complain about Bailu a bit, but I do accept that she is insanely good for the early game. There were a ton of close calls this fight, like too many to count. My Serval was at 32 HP at one time, and there was no Bailu revive available. Next up is the event from a long time ago, the Boulder Town Super League. I easily beat the point ranking tournament section, but really the challenge is the Boulder Town Martial exhibition. Luckily you get trial characters to make it easier. To get all the jades from the events you need to beat 6 of the challenges within 7 cycles. Even with the help of the trial characters, I only got 4 out of 6, so it's something I'll have to go back to later when my characters are stronger. I finally decide to get back to the main story quest. I begin the Xianzhou Luofu questline, and I honestly am tired of having to skip through all the dialogue. You've all played the story, and so have I, so in order to save storage space, I just didn't record a lot of it. I only recorded some important parts. One of those important parts is fighting the story Kafka. I've said before that a cleanse is really important, and this is a situation where it is. Kafka has a CC effect that makes your character attack its allies. It lasts for a while too, so it's important to cleanse, especially in the late game. Lucky for me right now, I'm not in the late game, and this is the story version of Kafka, so I can just brute force my way through the fight. After a little bit more story progression, I decide it's time to warp again. Mostly because I just hit Trailblazer level 35, which gives me a 10 pull, 800 Jades. I do a 10 pull and get the most depressing screen ever. It was one 4-star and it was a only silence remains. This light cone is horrible. If I need a hunt light cone, there is the Herta shop one, which is pretty good. This one would be the last resort for me if I need a hunt light cone. I do another 10 pull. This Herta gets her to E6, so she is fully maxed out on Eidolons. The free ones I get from the simulated universe are just free pulls now. I have no plans of ever using Misha, so he is permanently on the bench. More story progression later, and I get to another boss, the Abundant Ebon Deer. The only character in my party that it's weak to is Asta, so I won't really break it often. Not that it matters, as I can brute force this one as it is the story version. The vines it summons have a CC effect that make a character unable to ult, and only basic attack enemies for a few turns. This is something else that a cleanse would be needed for if it was serious. I really do need to build Lynx eventually so I can slot her in for situations like these. After defeating it, I unlock Dan Hung's story quest, but I can't even do it yet, because I need to do more of the main quest. Like, what was the point of giving us it if we can't even do it yet? It just doesn't make sense. I go back to Pom Pom and claim my rewards for reaching Trailblazers level 34, 35, and 36. I wanted to get some strails, which is the currency of the shop in the Xianzhou Lofu, so I got some chests and did some puzzles. Unfortunately, you don't get money from exploration. You get most of them from side quests. From my exploration, I have gotten enough Jades for another 10 pull. I was sad I didn't get a 5-star, but this light cone is really good for my vault currently. If I do get his light cone in the future, I will use that, but for now, this is a great option. While I progressed through the main story quest, I got to a point where a lot of the quests would be lost if I continued. They give 1000 XP in total and 80 Jades. I couldn't give that up, so I did both of them real quickly. When I started them, I figured out why you need to do them both before, as they are important for the Sanctus Medicus and Danshu story. At the end, I decided to go against Danshu, which I regret doing because I already did that on my main account. I should have let her go to see the alternate ending. After all that, I go back to Pom Pom and claim my level 37 rewards. There is a double reward event going on right now for the Caverns of Corrosion, which also means double XP. I do 3 runs of the Musketeer one to get all that juicy XP. I don't even want to do Caverns of Corrosion at this level because 5-star relics aren't a drop yet, but I have to do them for the double XP. It's just too good. Finally able to return to the main story, I get to the rising action of the Lofu story. I beat up Danshu and the members of Sanctus Medicus. This makes Fantalia reveal that she has been disguised as Ting Yun. She then breaks Ting Yun's neck, presumably killing her. It is still a mystery if Ting Yun will come back or if she is gone forever, or whether that was Ting Yun. We head to Scale Gorge Waterscape, and I get to do Dan Hung's part of the story. He battles Blade, and Blade puts his sword through him. This makes Dan Hung go into his Imbibitor Lunae form, revealing his secret powers. Yang Qing comes along and decides to 1v2 Blade and Dan Hung. I feel bad for him because they bully him. Blade actually makes a comment about this in the fight.
What's wrong? Afraid to hurt the boy?
Jing Yuan appears and stops the fighting. Dan Hung and him go to meet everyone else at Scale Gorge Waterscape. Dan Hung moves the water to make the area appear as we go to fight Fantalia. I have a pretty good team for this fight. I am forced to use the Trial Jing Yuan, but my Welt, Serval, and Bailu also match Fantalia's weaknesses. Yeah, I sat Asta out on this one. I defeat Fantalia, only having to use Bailu's revive on Serval in the last phase. With that, I unlock my second Eidolon for Fire Trailblazer and hit level 38. I haven't fully completed the Lofu story quest, but I wanted to do other things to gain XP, so I did some of the side quests and exploration. I go to claim my level 38 rewards after that. After that, I finally go and finish off the Lofu story quest, which is really just doing a funeral for Ting Yun. We send off a star skiff with things of hers on it, and the story ends with a cutscene of Locha and Jingliu having a confrontation with Jing Yuan. This is to set up Jingliu, who at the time I don't believe was out yet, but she was coming soon. I went back to side questing and accidentally started a part of the Aram Alley event stuff. The first part did give me 200 XP and 40 Jades, which is nice. I didn't record it, but sometime while doing the side questing, I hit level 39 and made progress into it. The dailies reset, and with 3 runs of the double XP Caverns of Corrosion and a claim of the dailies, I hit level 40. The Ascension quest was relatively easy compared to the others. By finishing it, I officially hit Equilibrium level 3, which means better rewards for everything. I've been holding off on doing the weekly things like bosses in simulated universes for this moment, as they have reset from the last time I did them. I wanted to claim my level rewards, so I go back to the Astro Express, but Pom Pom is nowhere to be found. I have to start Penacony's story quest to see the conductor once again. I had to do quite a bit of it too. We warped to Penacony and I met Acheron and went through this entire sequence, and then finally I was able to see Pom Pom again and claim my rewards. I ascended and leveled Welt and Serval to level 59 so I can handle this new equilibrium level easier. Next up, I go do the Simulated Universe World 5, a world where Kafka is the final boss and I have no cleanse. A weird twist of fate happened, and while doing World 5, I met Yaoshi, which gives me access to the Abundance Blessings. There are Abundance Blessings that cleanse, but this is not what I'm looking for. The Path's Resonance has a cleanse on one of its upgrades. The only problem is I can't select that path without restarting. As fate would have it, I had to go out and do some things in the real world. I tried to save my progress but couldn't find a way. Looking back, I could have Alt F4'd, but I didn't think about it at the time. I was getting my butt kicked anyways. This is what my team looked like after the second boss, so there was no way I was beating Kafka. I ascended and leveled Asta to level 59 and her light cone to 60 because I feared her dying in the simulated universe. This next run of the simulated universe, I was able to pick the Path of Abundance, giving me access to its resonance. Luckily, the first boss I fought gave me a blessing that charges a dewdrop based on how much healing a character gets. This is where a notable chunk of my damage comes from. I was also able to get the Path of Resonance formation that cleanses. Good thing I did, because if I didn't, beating Kafka doesn't seem feasible. I also got another blessing that when a character does healing, other characters will get a portion of that healing. I was able to upgrade both of these 3-star blessings before fighting Kafka. I messed up by using the resonance at a bad time on the first attempt, so I had to restart. I need to hold my resonance until Kafka uses her domination. By the time she uses it again, I'll have the resonance back up to cleanse it once again. Doing this, I was able to go through the fight very worryless. At the end, Serval did get downed, but Bailu revived her. Even if she didn't, Kafka was low enough that I was able to win regardless. With that complete, I can claim my weekly simulated universe rewards. I don't have enough to get the Track of Destiny at the end, so I will get that later. Claiming level 30 of the Battle Pass gives me 2 standard warps, which will be very useful. It's time Bailu also gets put to 59 and her light cone to 60. I did the Simulated Universe World 3 difficulty 2, and I was able to beat the first boss and claim the 5-star relic, but my team got destroyed by this Trotter. It's fine though, because I don't need to do the Simulated Universe right now anyways, and it got me enough points to claim the Track of Destiny. I go back and complete Stage 9 of the Memory of Chaos as I am stronger now and can brute force it. I'm not up for the task of Stage 10 yet though, because that requires 2 teams. Cleaning some things up now, I claimed the 2 Tracks of Destiny available in the monthly shop. I couldn't get them before because Trailblazer level 40 is required to claim them. I also do the Doomsday Beast once and Cocolia twice. I got some really nice Musketeer boots for my first run of Cocolia. They're an attack percent main stat, but came with 4 stats and 2 of them were crit rate and crit damage. I leveled them up to 12 and got 1 roll into flat attack, 2 rolls into crit rate, and 1 roll into crit damage. Not too shabby and pretty good for me just unlocking 5-star relics. A speed main stat is essential in the late game, but for now these will do good on my Welt. To wrap this video up, I want to do a recap of my characters so far. Welt is at 59 with a level 60 S1 Goodnight Sleep Well. He has a crit rate of 25 and a crit damage of 53. Pretty close to that 1-to-2 ratio. His speed is only 111, which isn't good. I don't know what is most important to level on him, but I have his talent at 5, skill and all at 4. Serval is 122 speed, so she makes that 120 breakpoint. She is level 59 at E1 with a S1 level 50, the seriousness of breakfast, and level 4 traces. Asta is level 59 with a S1 level 50 Bronia light cone. Her speed is only 113. I have her talent in all at level 4, but skill at level 1, and she is E2. I didn't record Bailu's stuff, whether intentionally or I forgot, but she is level 59 with an S1 Quid Pro Quo, and her talents are at level 4. She's also running a 4-piece Passerby of Wandering Cloud, which is the healing set. Well, it's on the Musketeer 4-piece, and I don't know about Serval and Asta. That's all my character builds so far. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to like and subscribe to see more of this series, or Honkai Star Rail content in general, and I hope you have a good day or night. See ya.